All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever typed a prompt into an AI and just sat back and wondered, how does this actually work under the hood? Well, if that's you, then you're in the right place. We are about to pop the hood on the most exciting tech of our generation, and we're going to use this book as our guide.
So this is the Large Language Models Crash Course by Sharanam and Vaishali Shah. And look, its promise is simple, but it's also incredibly bold. This is not a guide for just using AI. This is a guide for building it.
And that really brings us to the core question this book asks every single developer. Where do you want to be? Are you a prompt engineer, someone who's really good at talking to the AI? Or do you want to be an AI architect, the person who actually designs and builds the engine itself? I love this analogy from the book because it just nails it. It's the difference between driving a Ferrari and knowing how to build the engine. You know, a lot of people are learning to drive, and that's fantastic. But this book hands you the blueprints, the tools, the whole shebang, and says, let's build that engine from scratch. So how in the world do you make that jump? Well, this isn't guesswork. The book lays out a super clear, step-by-step blueprint. We are talking about a journey that literally starts with an empty folder on your computer and ends with a fully deployed AI application that you built with your own two hands. And that journey, it's broken down into 5 distinct phases of transformation. First, you set up your foundation, a proper AI workstation. Then you dive headfirst into the real engineering, building a library called Mini GPT line by line. After that, you educate your new AI brain, you train it to be a specialist, and for the grand finale, you build a gorgeous user interface for it. And listen, when we say core engineering, we really mean it. You are not just importing some black box library here. No way. You are coding, from scratch, the most fundamental pieces, the tokenizer, the embeddings, the legendary self-attention mechanism, all of it, all the way up to assembling the full GPT-2 architecture. Okay, so what makes this whole approach so different is how you learn this stuff. This is not some dry academic lecture. The authors designed this to feel like a workshop, a real hands-on engineering sprint that follows a very specific rhythm. They call it the lab protocol. And here's the key. You never start with the code. You always start with intuition. You'll learn why computers can't just read English before you ever build a tokenizer. You'll understand the concept of self-attention as being like a spotlight before you write a single line of math. It grounds everything in the real world first. Then, and only then, comes the code. But you're not just mindlessly typing. After every important code block, the book stops for what it calls a code autopsy. Every single complex line of Python gets translated into plain, simple English. It explains not just what it does, but why it's there. And that's where the deep, lasting understanding really happens. And you're not just writing a bunch of disconnected scripts either. You're building what's called a living codebase. Your mini GPT library starts small, but it grows and evolves with every single chapter. The parts you build in Chapter 3 get used in Chapter 5. It all builds on itself, exactly how a project would in a real professional AI lab. And to make sure you never get lost, at the end of every chapter, you get this, the assembly line report. It's basically a visual checklist that shows you which parts of the engine you've just built and what's coming up next. It's an awesome way to stay focused and see your progress. So let's talk about the payoff. After all this building, what do you actually walk away with? Well, you walk away with an incredible, portfolio-ready engineering project. For starters, you learn how to take that wild language model you created and actually domesticate it. You'll fine-tune it to become a specialist, like a super accurate spam detector. And you'll use instruction tuning to teach it how to follow your commands, turning it into a genuinely helpful assistant. And the grand finale, the culmination of everything, is this, the S&V Cortex. It is a beautiful, full-stack application that ties everything together. It's what's called a RAG app, which means you can feed it your own PDF documents and then have a conversation with them, using the AI brain that you built from the ground up. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds amazing, but what if I get stuck? Or what if my laptop can't handle it? Well, the authors thought about that, and they built in a fantastic developer safety net. Let me be absolutely crystal clear about this. You do not need a $30,000 server rack in your basement. This entire curriculum was designed from day one to run on a standard modern laptop. Got a MacBook? You're good. A Windows machine? You're good to go. The hardware is not a barrier here.
And what if your Python skills or your PyTorch knowledge is a little rusty? No problem.
they've got you covered. The main book is just one piece of a complete toolkit. There are companion crash courses available that'll fill in any gaps, so you can focus on building the AI, not wrestling with syntax.
So here's the bottom line. The days of just being able to use an API and calling it a day, those are fading. The future belongs to the people who can actually build, who can customize, who can truly understand these models. The era of the AI engineer is officially here.
And this one sentence really just says it all, doesn't it? Stop calling OpenAI, start building your own. It's more than a quote. It's a mission statement for developers who are ready to graduate from being consumers of AI to being the creators of it.
So, if you are ready to make that leap to become an architect, go ahead and scan the code on your screen right now. It'll take you exactly where you need to be to get started.
And you can also head over to www.sharanamshah.com to check out this book, the companion courses, and all the other incredible work from authors Sharanam and Vaishali Shah.
Which brings us to the final question. You've seen the blueprint, you know the tools are waiting for you. So, are you ready to finally open the hood?